why you came here today to talk about it. What brought you to when Rennie or Paul said, hey, we've got this focus group. They want to know about some of the challenges you faced with reentry or some of the things that have worked for you for reentry and fighting recidivism. What made you show up today? And we can start here on my left, like dealing cards.
What made me show up, he said that we was going to do something for the Rockefeller. So I felt like they was here to help. You know what I'm saying? Like if they was willing to, put a call for us and say we can come up here and do this, then I know that they want to help. So they pushed forward. That was the first step. They reached out. We got emails, you know what I'm saying? And we're here today. So, that's why I'm here. You know what I'm saying?
What's your name?
My name is Antoine, Turtle Jones. Everybody call me Turtle, you know. I went to Arkansas Baptist College. I'm from the South End community of Little Rock, Arkansas. I got 5 children, 3 boys, 2 girls. You know.
You own a business?
Correct. I own a business, Empower My Environment. We say EME, unity with every side. We represent the compass of all sides, north, south, west. You know, we've been working with Restore Hope for a while. You know, we part of their crew.
Nice.
And yeah, that's how we got here today, just by faith. You know what I'm saying? We looking at it straight by faith right now. We playing it as it go.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Randy Shenning. I'm just here to lend a hand in any way that I can. I think that guys that have served time behind bars are the experts in what needs to be done to stop the recidivism. I think that we have ideas, and I think a group like this can be very helpful. So I'm just glad to be here and whatever I can.
Awesome. Okay. Thanks.
My name is Russell Boyd. I was told that if I didn't show up, I wouldn't get paid next week. That's why I'm here. Secure my paycheck.
I love your honesty.
No, but I got over 15 years dealing with drug addiction. I got 5 years clean and sober today.
Congrats.
In the process of doing that, though, I didn't have no help. Like, my case is a case of just being sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I did everything pretty much on my own. And the reason why I'm here is because there was nobody like me to help. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I want to be that person. So within doing that, I became a detoxification specialist, a behavioral health tech, and a peer specialist. So I kind of like not only talk the talk, but walk it too, and go back into the fires of addiction with buckets of water, man, and try to pull the next person out.
You're a hero. I see you in the fire. You must be removed. Let's go.
Awesome. Thank you.
That's awesome.
My name is Brian. I grew up in a rural area of eastern Oklahoma. Went to college at Oklahoma State and then to OU, and went to graduate school, and then not too many years after that, spent 8 years in the Arkansas Department of Corrections. And the reason I'm here today is what I found is that people in my community, they don't understand what happens behind the gate. It's a very, very dysfunctional environment. They call it the Department of Corrections, but there's not a whole lot, in my opinion, that's corrective about being locked up in a little cell. It's very dysfunctional. The social order is skewed. You don't make decisions. Someone's making your decisions all day long.
And me personally, sitting down here in the Pulaski County Jail, I laying on my bunk one night, I said, you know, I've got two choices. I can either figure out why I got here, or I can keep figuring out whose fault it is. Was it the prosecutor? It must have been my family. I mean, all of those things went through my head. I didn't have this, I didn't grow up here. And that didn't seem to make sense because I looked at what I did to get there, and it was all about me. And so I spent those years in the ADC trying to figure out why I got there. And our communities need a voice. The average person has no idea what it's like to be arrested, going through the process of being booked in, being out, getting an attorney. Hopefully you can get out and get an attorney.
Attorney, what is that?
You know, and all of those issues about the system, the person that committed the crime or the offender, you know, is usually what I've found in the people that Randy and I have mentored is they're one-sided. They're looking at all of the things that the system, you know, did wrong. And you don't have a lot of time to look at what you did wrong because you're trying to figure out the system. And if we expend a whole lot of energy trying to fix the system. And I'm here to tell you, I don't think the system is real fixable right now. So what I try to do with the men and a few women that we mentor is try to help them look at how they're going to navigate themselves through this system and give them hope that they can find a way to, in the community doesn't understand what happened. They just sometimes want you to go away, don't bother me.
Mm-hmm.
And we're constantly trying to get a foothold in the community once we get out. And so if there was one thing I think that we do with Restore Hope is we try to help the community understand that a human being is coming back to live there. And they want to do the best that they can do, but when you get out of jail with $125 and that's all you've got, you've lost everything. You need to connect with some folks that may not understand where you've been, but at least they're willing, you know, to do what they do best. And so we try to hook those organizations together, and that's why I'm here.
Awesome. Thank you.
I forgot. This is about recidivism. I forgot to tell the cameras and everybody that I've been in and out of prison. My first charge was at 17. I went to federal prison. So I did all of my 20s in prison and majority of my 30s in prison too, with drug addiction in prison too.
Wow.
So
My name Charles Newsom, from the South End community, part of 1/3 of EME, 1/4 of EME. Man, I'm here to learn, and I'm here to help. And as like Russ, I caught my federal charge at 18. Stage time was 31. So every day is still like a learning process to this day.
Yeah.
To this day, I'm still learning how to adapt in this system because they program me a certain way, like you're a slave. You know what I'm saying? So you're trying to come up out of that slave condition. So I'm just here to help, man. I'm here to learn at the same time.
Awesome. Thank you.
Hey, my name is Dwight Pridgeon. I work at the City of Little Rock's Reentry Coordinator. I'm also a federal prisoner number 219-62009. I think my story is kind of different from these guys here because at one particular time I was a probation officer. So I knew some of the stuff that I did then, I did it, and I accepted responsibility. So I always make myself a promise. When I went to prison, if I ever give another opportunity to serve God's people, I'm serving with the best of my ability. And I take that from the heart. And when I say I serve people for the best of my ability, I most definitely do. So it took me, and I understand what Russell said, I understand what everybody is saying,
But I know for true facts, the recidivism rate is tough. I had family support. I wasn't on drugs, but I was a street person, so I knew the streets. I knew how to maneuver my way around in the street and doing street life. But I can say this: once I was released from prison, I didn't get a job right away.
Right.
It took me 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, 7 calendar years to get a full-time job. So when I landed on a full-time job, I'm in a position where I'm at today with the city of Little Rock, and I will be there 14 years, May the 14th of this year. So there's an opportunity for someone. So what I do now is a reentry coordinator. I meet the guys head on, first on, because I understand what a lot of them is going through. And I'll be there for their support. Now granted, some of them got some behavioral problems, some of them have some mental health problems, so we try to work through all of that. But I'm so excited to be here. I think this is an awesome panel. I think this is a panel that you need to start out with, and everybody around this table is correct. ADC is ADC, but the federal system is totally different from the Arkansas Department of Correction, because once you're in the federal system, you get your information up front. But the ADC is different, so that's my take on it for now.
What do you mean by getting your information up front?
Getting information, like when you go to the federal system, you got an opportunity. You know, you got a short list, short time list, and you got a long list. So I was able, let's say if I was there a little bit longer, I could have learned how to speak Spanish. But my time was shorter.
Unicorn.
I had an opportunity, no, not Unicorn.
I'm saying you could get in Unicorn too.
Yeah, you could get a Unicorn. I had an
trades.
opportunity to go to school to get a degree, you know. All that, and Unicorn pays you more money in
Yeah.
Unicorn.
Yeah.
But the difference is, and so I hate to say this, but the federal system is hard, but it's shorter. You do 85% of your time. You wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning. Your day go over at 10:30, really, because you got lunch at 10:30 to 12, and you got rec, you got all the other stuff. But you know, penitentiary, prison is prison. So that's the way I see it.
Thanks.
You're welcome, sir.
I'm Charles A. Benson, entrepreneur extreme, 1/4 of EME. Woo. Yeah. I'm just a story of redemption and education and perseverance in the streets. How the streets helped me develop a kind of sense of who I was because of my brothers and the guys that I was involved with in our organization. And our story is like opportunity and resources story. We think that I think the resources are the bottom line incentive and the bottom line thing that helps people see that if you change poverty, fighting violence, that behavior kind of recedes because people are succeeding. People understand that I'm successful now, so I have more to lose. So they don't want to go, nobody's violent now. They're not looking at each other being jealous because everyone is growing and equal in the same neighborhood and facility and community. And they are looking for that same American dream, but if they're not having the resources and opportunities to go get them, what do? It's going to turn violent. It's a thing that we have to connect those things and make them visible. We're not talking about them enough because it's easier to say that group of people are just that way. You can't say that. We got to find the cause and the effect. You can't start with the effect and then not even look for the cause. The cause is what makes us understand that that's where the problem is, and the effect is how we change our behavior and it changed the problem. That's what EME does. We are like consultants and psychologists and stuff like that. We do that in our neighborhoods and our communities, and that's what we're trying to show with the Rockefeller Foundation, that we're here to help as well, but we need help. We're here to help you, but we're gonna need help too. You feel me? So that's what it's gonna be. It's gonna be like a partnership, and we heads on ready for this. I think we were born for this, right, EME? I think this was. I'm like, I'll wait for this opportunity.
I think that, and my story is a little bit different than anybody around here, because I probably served the less time. I only served 22 months.
I still less than that.
Okay, yeah,
That's modest, though.
22 months, but, I mean, the way I came out, I had family support. I had somebody to pick me up. So the stories around here are a little bit different than that, but I think that we can all agree that some things need to be started internally, but the Department of The Department of Corrections is the Department of Incarceration.
Right.
We cannot, and I don't expect them to correct anyone, but they've got to open up enough to allow people from the outside to come in to help with that. But guys and ladies coming out, they need to see some hope. And even in my situation, which was very, very cushy compared to anybody else, because I had support, I had a place to go, but I still couldn't find a job. And I didn't know, I mean, you can't expect someone to be told what to do 24/7, 365, give them a card with some money on it, and tell them to not come back again. Because I remember when I walked out, the guard said, don't come back again. And that's all that was said. We've got to go further than that. We've got to give them some hope. We've got to be there. I don't know how we do this, but we've got to be there to show them there are some things and there are some people that are going to help you. And it's on you if you want to change your life.
That's
We
right.
don't control that.
No.
But if we give them the resources, then I think that you will see recidivism change. And it's just like what Charlie Mack said. But it's not going to take the government and it's not going to take legislatures to tell you the truth. I think it's going to take entrepreneurs, it's going to take business owners, it's going to take the private community, and it's going to take the churches. And until those individuals have a way to get involved, I think they're just waiting to be involved. You got to give them a way to be involved. I think you will see things change. Now, not everybody's going to change their life.
No.
And some people just need to be locked up. They need to be locked up. But 90 to 95% of the people incarcerated at any one time are going to come back and be your neighbors. So the better we do to recoup them and give them some hope, the safer our communities are going to be.
I vote for him. For Randy.
Man, the man, for
I
man.
learned everything I know from Turtle, Rock, and Graham Hill.
I like that. That was kind of dope, man.
Nice.
You didn't know I had it in me.
I did not. You are right.
He real laid back
I
though,
was
isn't he?
right. You
I
are
am
right.
laid back.
Yeah, I can tell that.
I knew you had it.
You just wait for that
But
moment.
see,
huh?
I'm like you,
Like a
man.
TV show.
I had the family support. But my biggest thing was, I wanted to be like my daddy. My daddy was a convicted felon, so I followed his foot tracks. Because when I was a probation officer, I had did favors for his friends. But I had to parent them, I had to support from the community, and I knew I had it. But if I didn't have all of that, oh no, I would have been messed up. I would have been messed up.
The support play a good role.
Yeah.
I had went to the penitentiary when I was 16. I got out when I was 26. And it's like when you first come home, when I first came home, I was struggling with just trying to learn how to live. I ain't know too much in there. All I knew was a certain life. When I went in having fun, street gang banging. My grades was low in school because my education was messed up. Because I have like learning disabilities, I didn't learn fast as other kids. You know what I'm saying? And that kind of frustrated me too, and it kind of made me angry in school.
That's
You
what's
know what I'm saying?
happening today,
Angry
though.
with people. You know what I'm saying? And I was kind of more vicious than the average person. You know what I'm saying? So it kind of my mind state was just, it was all valid. It was all misconstrued. I thought this was the way we were supposed to live. So when I got there, I'm like 16 years old. I'm growing up in this environment. I'm like, man, this, you know, I had to change. I had to be the toughest. You know what I'm saying? So you don't be thinking about that you need skills to pay bills, or you don't be thinking about you need skills to raise your kids. At this point, you like, man, I gotta survive because you don't know, you might die at any moment in there because that's how you thinking. You think that you can die. You know what I'm saying? So now you gotta fight for your respect. You gotta fight for your manhood. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of people. They didn't check me for ADHD. They didn't check me to see if I was claustrophobic, like if I could be in rooms with it. They didn't check me to understand anything about me mentally to know what was going on. So they, you know, I had 240 some disobeying order shots in the penitentiary from the federal penitentiary for 10 years just because I couldn't obey no rules. You know what I'm saying? Because I didn't even know how to obey rules when I first came because my stuff was messed up from school, going to eternity school. It was like I was already being breeded to get ready to go and blossom to be what I was supposed to be through the system. So
I got a question for you. What motivated you to change?
it wasn't no change at first. What actually made me want to change, I started people seeing, like, I mean, I seen people with cockiness, people who can get money, and then they look at you like you ain't, you know, you got to go get some money. Like I started looking at people. I started trying to be like people that, like, because I was different. Like, I wanted to learn, you know what I'm saying? But it took another person to turn around and say, look, kid, you know what I'm saying? Come over here and let me show you about your GED. Let me show you can you read? You know what I'm saying? They, you know, they had to figure out if I could read or anything first. So, you know, I wanted to change. It had to come with the want at first, but at first it wasn't no change. You just be going along with life. You know what I'm saying? You don't know if you're gonna change. I guess it comes with maturity.
Going with the program.
Yeah, you just living it. You know what I'm saying? You ain't thinking about change. You just like, okay, I'm gonna be 17, I'm gonna be 18, I'm gonna be 19. You ain't thinking the 21, the 22, the 23. You got to get through those moments right there. You know what I mean? So that was kind of, I think that they need to start getting more counseling and more mentors and more people
For sure.
into before you go to the pen, when you in the pen, and when you get out. Because
But you know, the stigma is, when you said mentor and counselor, it's hard
Right.
when they're afraid of them. The male mentors, the male man, I ain't messing with them kids. Them kids too bad. That's their style.
Right.
We gotta find a way to get that stigma out of their head and realize those are young men, young people that we're dealing with, older folks that need some assistance.
Right.
Sometimes we got to pull our boots up and assist
Right.
and take the pride out of it and think about that person, because could have been me. Could have been somebody related to me. Could have been somebody close. And they sometimes they don't see that. It's all about who they are. That song should have been off.
But that's what we specialize in our group, is talking to young people, making sure that they understand that what we went through and what we did is not cool. And so we want to direct you in a better path if you listen.
Right.
If you sit down and listen and respect the game, that's what we do as OGs in the neighborhood. We get the opportunity to help mold these young people into good citizens, because we have the knowledge of what not to do. So we just teach them that if they're willing to listen. If they're willing to listen, they will succeed. And it's a 100% working program.
I meant the deck is
It works.
stacked against us now.
The deck is stacked, but you gotta know what you just said, and he said you gotta maneuver through the system.
Yeah.
You can't change the system really like that, but you gotta learn the rules of the system and learn how to bank and bounce off the walls and ricochet and get through the way you need to get through. And sometimes you'll find some allies on the way that'll open a door for you where you thought you couldn't go through. It's right there ready for you.
Well, I think that we do have the ability to change the culture within the Department of Corrections.
Culture?
But we have to, we're the ones that have to show them the way. And you have to have some people within the system that believe the way that we believe, and they're there. They just don't want to speak up because that's not the way things are done.
And that's my problem. And that's where I always bang head with the system and the people out here. First of all, I'm never gonna be politically correct. Always gonna be the oddball out. We all gotta, the system especially, have to get rid of the Willie Lynch syndrome. And even out here on the streets with us black males, we got the Willie Lynch syndrome. And if you don't know who Willie Lynch is, then you need to go study him. That man came over here and he taught people how to enslave people. Prison is enslaved. It ain't got nothing to do with no incarcerating, they enslaving people. And
Especially, I don't mean to cut you off, especially when they put you on parole for the average person that gets out of prison will be on parole for the next
6 years.
guaranteed 6 years.
you're enslaved, man. So how do you take a human being and make him property? You understand what I'm saying? So when your mind goes from a human being to the mind of property, then you act like property.
That's true.
So how do you, but the thing is, how do we change, how do we begin to change that? You can't.
I want to
Yeah,
say
yeah.
one. I want to say one thing, because I feel like I'm caught in the middle. There is people that will give you a shot, if that's the correct term, or whatever. Because the sheriff of this county did give me an opportunity, and with that opportunity, I started the first drug program inside of that county jail that's ever. Since that county jail's been built, there's never been no drug program there. And with my background is what got me the opportunity, really. You know, and certified me into dealing with those men and the juveniles, you know. But definitely it's gonna take somebody
But a lot of people don't.
that has that background and walk the walk to talk the talk to
Yep.
the people that need to hear it, you know.
It has to be somebody who's been involved with it, somebody who has connections with it. It has to be somebody who's done it before.
But that person has to be given a voice too.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Those, the people that are within the system that believe that change is needed have to be the ones to give those individuals a voice.
Yeah.
And once you hear the voice, I think you'll start listening. But we've got to be able to, and I don't know how you do that. I don't know how you
I think
take on
you-
a system,
I
but
think you start like with the people and you start young.
Yeah.
Like I don't like when they get in preschool, kindergarten, first grade, you gotta have some people in there actually directing and actually helping the families down there with the kids. Cause a lot of these are poor families, like I say, mental kids. Like my mama, she worked the same job for Baptist Hospital for 41 years. She made $16 an hour when she retired. And she took care of 3 of us. You know what I'm saying? And I'm that child that my daddy was abusive, beat up my mama. You know what I'm saying? I'm the child that been, molested on or whatever. All of that. You know what I'm saying? People don't know that about you. So people don't know what kind of person you truly is in the inside because they don't take the time out to figure that stuff out. Like I really had a learning disability out there, and just because I didn't get no check because they felt like my mama worked, so I couldn't get no check. They only people they feel like this that make these kind of problems is people with checks. But it's kids out here that actually got these problems that don't get no check just because their mama got a job, and that's how fast the system shut you down. You know what I'm saying? They shut all of that down. Like your mama got a job, she make this kind. You can't get your check, your medicine stopped. We can't afford the medicine. Then you might got the mama that don't even give you your medicine, or you ain't properly taking your medicine through school. You know what I'm saying? And we lacking things out there. We lacking parenthood out there. We lacking poverty out there. We lacking leadership out there. We lacking real people who really genuinely trying to help, who doing this to help the people. And that's what I think we need to get back to, loving on each other as a unit. You know what I'm saying? And as a community and as a state. And once that we start doing it with the kids and with the adults, people gonna grow and they're gonna start mingling and messing with each other and uniting with each other. You know what I'm saying? Like, cause everything was violent back in the days when I was growing up. Like everything, racism, gang banging, the police. You couldn't dodge violence nowhere. So you had to figure out a way how to stay tough. You know what I'm saying? You had to figure out a way how to do it. You know what I'm saying? So if we start like tackling the mind frame really and start young, helping families, helping people breed success. Because my mom didn't play basketball, my daddy didn't play. That's the only place we can be successful is we go to play basketball, if we go play football. That's
You rapping.
because education don't make a street millionaire, and that's what we figuring out. Church ain't making millionaires unless they want to. You know what I'm saying? and that's what we know on the streets. And we still need to just start opening communities so to the people who don't got those special talents but got talents in other ways. We need to figure out how to make these people talents count so they can take care of their family.
So
You know
what
I'm saying?
what Turtle's maybe saying is it's not a correction problem, it's a connection problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I like about the drug director of the state when he started this peer support specialist movement, and it's easy for people like me to connect with people with that struggle with recidivism, struggle with addiction. We just basically look at each other and be like, yeah, I've been there, man. So let's go ahead and start this, man. Let's come up with a plan.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They know
Can I
you
ask
can,
you,
they know
y'all
you can do
gentlemen, a
better.
question? If I have something that's working and I'm making millions and millions of dollars, why would I stop?
You want.
All right, there go for me to say this. That system have to be broke, which means those judges, y'all know when we get sentenced, man, y'all know them folks get to write us up and put us on Wall Street. The judge can do that. You are property of the state, man. So you have to break all those little incentives and those special little gifts and all this stuff that the judges, the senators, you have to break that system all the way down because their system
Private
triples
prisons.
Yeah, the
Oh,
private prison stocks
I
and
think
private.
only,
You have to break that. That should be illegal.
people in Congress can
because
buy
it
stock
trickles
in it.
down into my neighborhood.
Yeah.
Because y'all paying
'Cause that's where they get the
legislators and
bodies
y'all
from.
building prisons and y'all not building education centers. Y'all not building economic anything that can empower my neighborhood. Y'all putting it in prisons.
You know why?
Because they
it's
winning.
Because it's so much easier to build someplace to incarcerate than it is to get people involved and build community centers and things like that. Because that takes sweat equity.
Yeah.
It's easier. I mean,
But no,
the system, what?
It really not.
it's not because they do it for other communities.
Do case
What do
management.
you mean? When back in the day, when the different races came back from the world wars, the black man was treated the worst. But every other group was given an incentive. You come to the bank, we'll give you a loan on this
Well, I'm
and that.
not saying
I'm
it's-
saying
I'm
this
not
is a
saying it's
history of
right.
that's always been. Well, we got, like he said, break it down.
I know.
man. Let's tear it
I know,
down.
but what
because
I'm all-
if everyone's not benefiting,
But do you
it's a
think we're
it's a
gonna,
pointless
excuse me,
system.
do you think we're gonna be able to break that down of all
It
of that
has to
many
be.
years of
If
trickle down?
you
not
We
you
gotta-
have to.
So
If
we
you
got
don't
to
think you
learn
can do
to-
something, then you can't do it.
Some of them
We gotta do it
I,
as a people. We gotta
Yep.
do it. Start with us.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
That's
Yeah.
the only way you're gonna start
Yeah,
is with the people. You can't change the system. The
I'm
system's
saying,
a
but
well-oiled machine.
You gotta adapt to
the
it.
people are the system. If you
If we
really,
ain't
really
getting in
look at
trouble
it,
or
if we
doing
change
nothing,
our
we can't go in
mindset
there.
and
Yeah,
become
right.
powerful enough, we force the system to
Yeah,
change.
y'all saying
It
the
has
same
to.
thing.
It's no
Yeah.
inevitability.
Yeah,
No
we just-
system
Y'all are saying
change.
the same
We're
thing.
just looking
It's
at
done it in
differently. We're
history
saying the
multiple
same thing.
times that systems have broken
But
because
what-
people stood up and fought against it.
But what we've got to do is
adapt.
the way
Adapt.
the way that
I
culture
believe in
sees
adapt.
it,
Better.
the way culture sees it is, if we build another prison, that's going to make our community safer. Okay.
And they will build
It's
another.
propaganda and false
But-
information.
but the thing is,
community grow.
If we would build these and get people involved and get businesses involved, we could begin to prove that there's another way
Right.
to make communities safer.
Hey, Red
But do
Red,
you-
that $80,000 you giving that correctional officer, get it to my teacher over there, so she can come to work prepared every day, and she knows she's getting paid her work, and she can really put.
I'll
Perfect
give it to
example.
somebody
This
who
is a
knows
perfect
to do with it
example.
so they
I
can
agree.
invest in some
From
new
the
people
from
talent.
the 3rd, 4th, 5th grade to the 6th, 7th grade, I was going to a private school.
I agree, but
I
that's
had a
the
black
culture.
teacher-
That
I
you
had
got
a
to
black teacher
change it.
named Miss Cunningham, Brother Beck,
Brother Rose,
Brother Rose,
Miss Rose, yeah.
Those teachers took their time. I mean,
They
boy,
treat us like we
on
was their
us.
kids.
You still remember.
Man, when
Yeah, we
I still
remember 'em.
remember to this day.
Yeah, we remember 'em.
Hear instruction, be wise,
And refuse it not.
I had to
Yeah.
write it
They had
down.
to
Damn, the
make
teacher
you-
call you
Bible
your
verse.
son wiggling his leg
the
too long
example
in
that I'm
class.
giving, the example that I'm
moving
giving
too
is
much.
that when
Yeah,
I
he
left
is.
that school and I went to private school,
In
I
public
was
school.
probably 2-3 grades ahead of my regular people because those teachers
Yeah.
wasn't putting in their time in their students. So now you got the students with the ADHD,
that's what I was
the
gonna say.
and they're not getting the proper teaching and the proper care that they need. Instead of paying that correction officer 80, 90, give it to their teacher.
Give it to that teacher.
Well, the only way you do that is you begin to get recidivism down, And for us to be working together to prove to communities that there is another way to make our communities safer. And that's to give the guys and ladies coming out some hope, and they grab hold of a little bit of hope, and then they become productive citizens again. So there's less of a need for the $80,000 correction officer,
No.
and there's more need for paying the teacher more.
Right,
But we have to do that.
right.
Let me say
I think
something real
jobs and
quick.
everybody needs to get the most.
Let
I
me say
think
something
everybody
real
has,
quick.
I think the government needs to step in because they got the most resources out of
Because
everybody. They need to step in and
Walmart,
help foot some of this bill, which they kind of have some involvement with.
The
So they
main-
need to come help.
The main
Yeah, they
thing
do.
about
Good
recidivism,
luck.
I'm saying, when
Man,
I
the
got-
main thing about
Man, I
recidivism
believe-
is that majority of people that are going in and out of prison have addiction problems.
Mm-hmm.
So when they're in jail or in prison, their addiction is just on hold.
It's still going. They don't
Sure
stop
is.
it.
They don't stop it.
Depending on where you go, you could
It may
we
not
still
be, it
fight.
may
Pick up
not
where
be
you
You
on
just
the-
still
left off.
gang banging, you
You know
still
what I'm
doing
saying?
drugs,
Yeah.
you still doing
But-
everything in the box.
that box is just a place just to either depending on where you go,
It just
put it
holds
on
you.
hold or keep going.
Man, every
It just holds
institution
you.
I went to, it was so much marijuana and heroin up in there, it didn't stop.
So drugs.
But what about the people that ain't doing drugs, but it's actually street
it's-
gang banging? Like we losing people by the 70s out here. You know what I'm saying? Like what we had? How many murders we had? What 30? We in the beginning of the year. You know what I'm saying?
And children-
Our
and
people
children,
are
babies.
killing each other.
Young.
You know, we
Young.
are dying.
Think about what he
Okay.
said. It's that team concept we got to come up with. Together, we all
Yeah.
achieve more.
Yeah.
But the race is there, everything is there, the culture and all of it's together. Everybody is saying the same thing, but when he said something about the teachers, I listened to what he was saying. I was calling in on what he was saying. Yeah, true enough, back then, the teacher was a thing. Teachers don't want to teach these kids these days, let's just face it.
They don't get
Because a
enough
lot
money.
of kids has that ADD, and they don't have time
And they're
for it.
aggressive,
They don't
too.
have the patience.
They
They
what?
don't want no teachers.
Some of the kids are
Yeah,
aggressive.
they
Real
they don't
aggressive. They
need
come
it.
to
And
they
the
come to
teachers
school
are
with
scared.
They ain't
And then the
aggressive
system-
to an aggressive teacher.
And then the system
Yeah.
got them
If
set
they
up
can
where,
oh, you were talking about
yeah,
that.
then the system got us set up with that cradle to prison pipeline that starts at an early age.
Yeah.
Kids get in trouble. He has a number now. Goes to the, alternative school. Never gonna see daylight of school again. Then we already know where he's on his way. He's going to jail, dead, or somewhere else, right? And that's what it's going to always be until we find a way to correct it. Well, yeah, you're right. That teacher a long time ago was the teacher, but they don't have those teachers no
Now,
more.
hey, can I just say we're gonna rewind it back? You know what half these kids go to school with ADD and all that, they bad? The dad ain't in the house. Wind it back, didn't I just tell y'all
No,
with
didn't.
this syndrome, what was his number one rule?
Remove it.
Take the
remove-
male
out of the
and
house.
make the woman
Dominant.
make
The
the
dominant.
woman dominant, and she will make the kids the slaves.
Yep.
So therefore, when you don't have a masculine in your house, and this woman has to go out here and she has to go to work, man. She don't have time to be here with these babies because she's providing by herself.
So how do you start attacking that? Because I don't, that's not my
The
world,
daddy
that's
in
your
the
world, but
penitentiary.
it's true, it's true.
It's part of the recidivism process that we talking about. The
I know.
daddy is in the penitentiary, so he's out of the picture. So the children
build
are
the daddies
are
He's
missing
so
that
out of
mass.
the picture when he gets out,
Let me speak.
he'll be on
Let me
parole
speak, let me
for it.
speak. You're right. You're right. The daddy's not there because there's no masculine energy in the household. It's just feminine, and she's worried. She's worried constantly. I'm sorry, women, they do worry a lot. You know, worry a lot.
They have to.
So and they have a reason to because they don't have any help. So the recidivism process is also if we stop the guy, the male, the husband, the boyfriend from going to prison, he's in the home, he's working,
Right,
he's providing.
right.
So what you
Less
doing-
stress on the
what you
on the
doing-
woman
what you
and the
doing to
children.
get out?
It's
So
a
what do you-
trickle down effect. If we keep him out of prison, he's there.
Right.
He's a solid. He's a protector. He's a provider. He helps with their education. Everybody's winning if he's out of prison.
But
The
isn't,
problem-
but isn't that something that you've gotta create in the community? You've gotta
Yeah.
change the
Yeah.
mentality
Of the
of the
children.
community
Yeah.
that the male
Empower the
understands that he's really important and he's gotta make good decisions.
yeah.
Someone jump in.
Good, go ahead. Go ahead.
Jeff.
That's a good point. So that's a generation, we know about the lost generation, the 70 generation. Now we got the 90 generation, the 20, the new millennium generation. So we have to start from there. We can't worry what's behind us.
Right.
We got to go forward. Now. We can't change
It's
that.
built for us to feel too when we get out. Like, as a man, I don't got no rights like a mama. Like, I can't get out of prison and go get a house. I can't file my kids on taxes. I can't get no extra money. I can't get no food stamps. I can't do none of that when I come up out of prison. Like, it's like I can't be no man. You know what I'm saying? I can't. So they had me, my first rent, how can I survive this? Now it came to, let me get back in these streets and make me some money. However I know that, because the job wasn't working. I worked for Walmart, I worked for all these places. Everybody was giving me $9 an hour. Everybody was giving, man, $18 an hour is $500 a week.
So if somebody
You know
was
what I'm
there
saying? So
to,
if I'm trying to feed a family of 5 and all this off of $9 to $10, what you think going on? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm that man. You know what I'm saying?
so if somebody gives you a little bit of opportunity, will that give you a little bit of hope?
That's gonna give us all the hope.
Okay.
We just need some opportunity out here on this street. We need somebody to understand as a black man, as a black man out here, we struggling.
But they
We
got
ain't
to be
no
willing
rights.
too, because I'm telling you right now, I hear what you're saying. I hear these guys I see every day before the pandemic hit down. I break it down to them 1, 2, 3. But you got to be willing. If you're not willing to do it, you just want to take this for just a temporary to get to the next level, then you got yourself a
If you
problem.
come home
But
to an apartment in a car like a woman get, when she have a child, she gets in the house. When she have a child, she gets in car because I paid T for it for $5,000 out my check on a car I never even touched, and then she tore up and sold it to somebody else. Us males don't get nothing. We have to survive and go out here and literally make a way for ourselves. Where we gonna live? We got no shelter. We got no money coming in from the state. We got nothing. Zero. So we got to make a way. We got to create a program to put money in some of these people's pockets when we get out, because we getting out only with $100.
Yeah.
$100.
Well,
We have nothing else.
they gotta see some hope.
We got
There's
nothing
got
else.
to be
There got to be some changes in the
resemblance
system for
of
us
hope
to have
when they
some
come out,
rights.
whatever that is. I don't know what that
It has
is.
to be the people involved with the laws and the system to be willing to say, there is a problem. We see it now. We feel what y'all saying. Y'all been saying it so long. We understand now. What can we do to help? And we have the solutions ready to fix the problems.
And to that
That's all
point-
it takes right now.
You trying to get one? I'm go ahead.
Y'all are covering. Y'all are covering.
Boy,
good
this
stuff.
is awesome. I got to give you guys this right on point.
Yeah. Well, I know some of y'all got to get out of here at 1, and I don't want to keep y'all past that, and we're at 12:30. So, what y'all are wrestling with is exactly the thing that we're all kind of wrestling with right now, right? There are all these little pieces of. All of it is important, right? It's if you could fix the one thing, it would have an effect on this other thing over here. If you could reallocate some resources. So, what I'm going to try to do. Kind of consolidate what I've heard y'all talk about and put it down in some ways that we can pass on to some other folks to kind of have their reaction to it, put it on our list for things to consider and things to work on and things that are important, and particularly things that y'all are seeing in the system that are kind of perpetuating recidivism, that make it easy, the cradle to prison pipeline, and keep folks in there. I'm going to try to not just go down the list and read through, because that's, put people to sleep. But I'm hearing a lot of stuff. So I've added 2 categories here. We had the 7 that were pulled together from Restore Hope. I put 1 as incarceration programs. We had pre and post. How do you get before folks when they're maybe about to enter the system or at risk for entering the system? We've got some stuff for, once you leave, which I put down skills training. I put down resources. Because like I said, if it's just you're used to the system and then you're kicked out with nothing, you're set up for, how are you going to make it?
With parole fees. As soon as
With
you get
parole
out,
fees,
As soon as you get out, parole fees is in effect.
They had a $20,000.
So that $100,
restitution.
when you get to your parole officer, they're like, hey, you owe 75 of that because
But
you
I
got
think-
out last.
Man had a
I need that.
$20,000 restitution with 3 years to pay on.
That's crazy.
I think
That's crazy.
Like they want you to sell
After I
drugs.
did 13 years.
They tell you, go sell some drugs and get that money back to me. I don't care how you get it, just don't get caught.
Yeah.
Let me make a comment on one of the 7 here. What I've heard today, anytime I'm mentoring someone, I listen to their response. from a question I'll ask, and the first thing I think is what core belief or what value system led you to say that? So when we're giving our opinion here, it's all coming from our internal core beliefs. If I'm gonna help someone before they go to prison, or I'm gonna help them when they get out, I have to be in their routine. I have to involve myself in their routine. Randy's daily life is different than Turtle's, and it's different than Russell's. And I can read encyclopedias all day long about all of these different things, but I can't help him until I know what his routine is. And the problem with programs inside the prison, the folks that know how to do it can't get in. They control all of the programming based on what I feel like are the theories that are outdated. In the 70s, they thought everybody needed a vocational career. So what we have now is a lot of folks that know how to weld, and they're criminal welders.
With a drug problem.
With a drug problem. So see, if those things are working over the last 30 years, we wouldn't have recidivism at 70%. They've got to let Turtle have access in the community to folks that need it. All of these guys are saying the folks that are supposed to be doing what they're doing, they don't have the skills or the best practices to do that. So if I went to the agencies or to the governor and said, I can help these folks, but I have to have access. I'm not going to go to the warden and say, you quit doing what you do because you do what you do good, and that's lock folks up. But you need to let me engage them. I know how to engage that human being, and I know how to help them because I'm in their routine. I know what they're going to do at 2 o'clock today. I know what they're going to do at 3 o'clock tomorrow. I know how they're going to treat their wife. I know why they've been married 5 times. You know why I know that? Because I'm involved in their routine. I have access to them. And so then when there's a dysfunctional core belief in there, like Turtle might be mentoring a 15-year-old, he's saying, you know what? I've been down that road before. This is where your thinking is wrong.
You can recognize it.
You know, this is where you're wrong. Someone that hasn't been in the system, really to me, doesn't need access to the folks that they're trying to help because it's all theory to them. You need to open the doors and give access to volunteers, to folks. Forget about paying the staff on the inside. Contract it out. Someone should present themselves to say, you know what, I really know how to do therapeutic communities and CBT. The system's going to say, we're stepping aside. You come in and do the programming. You come in and do the community programming. You engage, get with Restore Hope and let them show you how to take all the service providers in a community and organize them so that they can share data and know how this person is moving. But if you're not going to be involved in that routine of that person every day, you're not going to do a whole lot. You've got to know how they're thinking. Then you can prevent relapse. You'll be there that's when mentoring works, when I know what's going on. We have to have access to folks that we're trying to help.
I think that I'm an optimist,
cut the check.
but I truly believe that most of the men and women coming out of incarceration really do deep down inside want to change.
Yeah.
And I think they want to reunite with their family. I think they want to be positive
Want to be a
members of
normal
society.
person.
I think they want that. But without resources and without information, they will never, ever get there.
They stay in the same pattern.
I wouldn't have made
He
it.
was told that he couldn't even go to college, bro, from in there. And like I was like, man, you crazy. You can go to school. He was
I
like,
had
"You
a-
gotta charge."
I had a parole officer that gave me 48 hours notice to move out of the halfway house I was in. 48 hours, or he was gonna revoke me and send me back. I had the same parole officer would not allow me to go across the Arkansas state line to go to the wedding of my youngest son. And there's good people in the system, but there's also people that just want to create havoc.
Chaos.
And
Or just get
those
their
are the-
check and go home.
Those are the
That's a
people.
small percentage.
That's the culture that's got to be changed, and we're the ones that will change that.
I think
See,
that's
now I see where you're coming from when you say culture.
I think that's the low-hanging
absolutely
fruit
right
there,
about
is to ask the system to step aside
Yes.
and let us do what we've learned how to do. And that's the big barrier right now.
Yeah.
They control everything,
and they won't let the folks that know how to do it in because they have to control everything. From the day you're arrested till the day you die, men can't get and women can't get out of the system. You've got to let them out of the system, or at least ask the system to step aside and let some other folks come in and help. That the system is not they come up with the solution, but it's usually not right, in my opinion, because I've been there. But I know when I counseled with Paul, and he hired me to work for Restore Hope, he had to think outside of the box because the system don't typically let us in to do those things that we do.
Yeah.
You've got to go to the outsider.
Yeah, go to the streets.
They've got to step out of the way and let the folks that know how to do it.
Yeah.
And that's how you rally the community. The communities are going to have to invest in their people, whether whether folks live on this. I remember the movie that Sandra Bullock was in, you know, and she was helping the young African American kid. And one of the lines in there in that movie I'll never forget. She said, "It's only 10 miles away. I didn't know people live like this." Well, see, she pays her taxes, she drives a Lexus, she does all that. She's doing it over here.
Right.
And there's things going on over here. If you're not going to get involved in your community, and if you don't have access to those things because of dysfunctional core, even neighborhoods have dysfunctional core beliefs, you got to figure out how to get access to the folks you want to help.
And I'm convinced that those people that drive the Lexuses and are on the so-called on the other side of the tracks, I'm thoroughly convinced that they would be involved. They'd be involved just like that.
They don't know how.
Not all of them, but if you give them an opportunity.
Yeah, that's right.
But those on the other side
Safe
of the track.
opportunity. If they're safe, I bet they'll engage. If they feel like
But it's
they're
hard to be safe.
But guess what? Guess what?
up, man.
Those on the other side of the track,
Safe.
the old saying says, they have criminality in their family too.
Yes, they do.
Oh yeah, it's just
But
that
they got a
hard-
way to protect them. And we don't have a way to protect us. And I just want to piggyback on what you said. I can remember when I go speak to the federal prisons at the Fort City. I went to the state, and I've been to several of them. I remember the first time I went to the federal prison system. And of course, it was for like a reentry week day. And all the other individuals, the case manager was coming in from the outside and different individuals. So I went to represent the city of Little Rock for the reentry department. So I surveyed the room. I saw all the individuals coming out from the outside don't have no reentry experience whatsoever. You can tell they're kind of timid and they're scared of the inmates and stuff. So I surveyed the room. First thing I did, I surveyed it. I looked around the room, and I'm quite changing the culture because you got the guys, the Caucasian in there with the glasses on, the mirror
like me,
glasses,
yeah,
and don't
yeah.
want to pay attention. So I said, okay, I see what I had. That was my show to do what I did. First thing I did, I grabbed the mic. I speaked into the mic. I said 219-62-009. When I said that, they did this. I said, I'm one of them.
Yeah.
I understand. Now let me show you, brother. I tell them, say, scoot up, brother. I said, I'm not afraid of it. Let's talk now. You could see how the other individuals that went in with me did me. I said, no, I'm one of them. I understand. So at the end, all of them just come on to me. And when some of them got out, I gave them my card. I was able to get them gainful employed. Hope is what they need.
Well, the thing is, that wall,
Hope is
that
what they
wall
need.
that you're talking about, that safe wall,
That's,
once they get to know guys like this and you, that wall starts to come down.
That's right.
Yes, it's hard to be what you can't see.
Meet them where I'm at.
But they gotta
You
have
can't
an
see nobody
opportunity
successful from the hood.
to
It's-
get involved.
How you
That's
gonna
how-
See it.
The only
Meet
person
'em
that's
right there.
successful
my
is
first
dope
hope
man.
is education.
And I'm going to
You know, when I went to school and
I'm
DC
serious.
showed me a vision. You know, I
We're
said, yeah.
closing in. Can we summarize again? Because we've captured it, but I think it might be good, again, if we focused on, so for ever, last 10 years, the recidivism rate for the state has been 55%, which means that you can look at everybody coming in going,
Back.
probably coming back.
Right.
You get out, on average, you're gonna do 4 years, 11 months, and we'll see you again. Right, that's the statistics. Why?
Drugs and the chemicals in the drugs are becoming more addictive, more stronger. I think drug problem.
Well, and I think it has to do with CBT too.
I think
What Brian goes back to, cognitive behavior therapy, how are we thinking? How do they think?
I
What do you
think
think?
I think being in private and just getting out and not having nothing, getting out, not having a home, like a house or apartment to believe in. Like if you got your own apartment or in your own car, and you get your kids coming over there every weekend or your girlfriend, you got something to lose. When you get out here to nothing, you ain't got nothing to lose.
If
So
you got
now
nothing, you got nothing to
you got
lose.
nothing
Right.
to lose.
Right.
So we don't have no responsibility. We don't have no check from the state to help us get us a little food or even $200 food stamps to even put some food in our refrigerator to give a woman to say we got half on the rent or we got half. We can at least put some food in the house. As a man, I'm coming to you, baby. I got some food stamps. I can put this in the house. We don't have anything to offer anybody. So until they can get out and help us financially get stable, financially get adjusted to life, learn how to pay some bills, learn how to take care of your kid, you know, I think that would help a lot.
A grace period with these parole fees and probation
saying?
fees and restitution fees. There's got to be some kind of grace
They
period.
gotta go.
As soon as you get out, they're like, "What's
They want
up?
it.
We need that money.
Yeah.
Come on."
They gotta go, man. You shouldn't have to pay to be on no parole. You shouldn't have to pay nothing after you done paid your. After I done went and did that in the penitentiary, man, I paid my debt to society where I'm giving y'all any money.
And every,
Then, two, man, just have it on your mind. I ain't had none of that. I just snorted lines this long, smoked all the weed, drunk all the, I did all that. I just wasn't going back, bro.
Yeah.
Period. It was death before the back going back to that cell. So you gotta have it on your mind. You just not going back.
and it's got to be done on an individual basis. I mean, I didn't need many resources when I came out. I was okay.
We
But
did.
you gotta, that's what I'm saying, it's gotta be an individual basis. You gotta look,
Yeah, so we
put the
always gotta
resources
think,
where it's needed.
we always got to think of the person that needs the most resources.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that brings me to, there was an
Need the
act
most
called
help.
Act 1190, and it looked at some things that needed to be done. And one of those was case management. Every person has a unique, for example, the case manager would look at Randy and says, you don't need that, but you do need this. And they would look at her, you don't need that. So I don't think we do. Restore Hope's the only one that's doing any case management that matters to me.
That's the only
You know,
one I've seen.
I
And I've
mean,
been to a
really,
lot of
I would
programs.
hire more case managers instead of correctional officers myself.
Start really
So-
getting you
Yeah,
hope.
so I was talking
my,
to Paul about that the other day, about changing the whole mindset of a parole officer. Like, strip them from that name, give them the name case manager, and give them access to the community
Make 'em feel like
that they're servicing the inmate to go back to, and there goes your case manager right there.
That's a great idea.
Make the
I
person
mean,
feel
you
like
can't
something.
change the system. The system's a well-oiled machine.
Yeah.
So you just, straight
Get
up
better.
tell the inmate, hey, look, this is the system.
But that's
If you don't do
changing.
X, Y, and Z, you know where you're going back to.
Yeah, I think
We're
what,
gonna
That's
lose
I'm
your
a case
apartment.
manager.
No.
I'm gonna help you. I can help you get a job here. I can help you do this, this, and this. Now, what
See
do you
that-
want to do?
and
That's
I
changing
I
the
found that they can't serve two masters.
Yeah.
The probation officer is going to be one of two things. He's either going to be a supervisor, he's going to say, hey, I'm locking you up because you're 2 minutes late or what have you.
Yeah.
Or they're going to be the other extreme and they're going to be too helpful. But they can't do both. I haven't seen that where they can't serve two masters. They can't have the mindset of public safety and then counselor over here.
No.
They ask them to do too much.
But I feel like that, like Turk said, the most important thing is mental health.
Yeah.
I think getting out of being in prison is a traumatic experience. It is. I don't
Trauma.
care. It's something, and then you're not. Some people have shorter time. Some people have longer time. But you have to evaluate that person before they come out.
That's
Before they
exactly
get out
right.
in their parole, they have to be evaluated mentally. Are they good to be on these streets? What tools they
And
need?
follow
What
up with
programs they need to be
Find out
pointed
their
to?
needs.
But they need counseling. I'm serious.
Follow
that
up
needs to be done in our community. More counseling needs to be available.
I agree.
And not at a high cost either.
And
It
case
need to be- it
management
need
would
to be
solve that.
Pretty good.
Because
Insurance
you
free.
would
Free,
know that
free.
before they
It need
got
to be
out.
damn near free.
Yeah.
Free.
And that's
I
just
ain't gonna
right.
lie to y'all, bro. I wouldn't have went to cancer.
Nobody
I've never
went to
been.
cancer.
I just don't.
But
I
you
will
gotta
now
give- you
because I
gotta
know
give
what's
a
wrong with
person
me.
a reason.
So I
If
wanna
your
fix
counselor
what's
look
wrong with
like
me.
Charlie
I
Man,
feel like I wanna
you
fix
probably
it.
would have went and talked to him.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do it. It's just never been my thing. You know what I'm saying?
But-
I always been able to go into. I can go into a dark place, and I may have to stay there 1 or 2 months, and I can camp. But that everybody can't do.
No,
Yeah,
that's
everybody
what I'm
ain't doing
saying.
like
Everybody
that.
not strong like
But
that.
see, you would still
And we
fit
can't
in.
afford
I
to
was
do
gonna-
that.
You would still
Get
fit
the-
in because
like
they would
wait.
say, they would say, this is the level of engagement you need. And they don't do that now. They don't know how to engage someone when they get out with the resources they need because there's no plan. There's no reentry plan when you're released. You get $125.
That's
You're going
the
to see
plan.
us. That's the plan.
For
You're
real,
going
that's
you're
the
going to
plan.
see a parole
See, again,
officer
that's the plan.
that's more worried about your violation grid than he is with these other resources. He'll say, "Well, here's a list. Go get these jobs." Well, Randy and I both.
Outdated list.
Yeah, we've called the 200 folks on there, and they're not interested in hiring, or
3
they're not
years
even in
old.
business anymore. So,
Yeah.
you know, you really got to have a good plan when you leave.
And everything's got to be individual because
At least
22 months, I mean, the world didn't change a whole lot in 22 months. How much did it change in 10, 15 years?
Yeah.
At least put them
I
in
mean, are you
position.
kidding me?
At least put them in position to get some housing and cars and
Something.
food. You know what I'm saying?
Dwight, you had a point on that sheet, and I'm also interested in hearing your top takeaway.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying. And Paul asked the question, he said, when we wrap it all up, and I look at it this way here, in this respect, in this term. My number one choice is behavioral and mental health supports. The substance abuse programs help lower recidivism rate, but are not widely implemented. Cognitive behavior therapy or any type of counseling, mentoring that addresses criminal thinking is needed for all those at high risk to recidivate. Number two, pre-incarceration programs that need to be done inside in the efforts. Substance abuse, behavioral health training, and intervention. Child welfare, intervention that help keeps families together. While that dad is in prison, that one that's talking about the masculine man, while that man is in prison, there's child welfare intervention to keep families together. And accessible to adult education. Because we already know to get the education, the key to getting out of all of this, once they prepare themselves, is an education somewhere down the line. And quite naturally, the most important one I think involved is public awareness. That negative stigma around being formally incarcerated, needing to demonstrate money, save and increase public safety for helping people successfully exit the system, lower employability and an ability to obtain affordable housing. And I wrap it back around. When I first got hired as a reentry coordinator, I've been working with the city since 2007, like I said. And I took the job in 2018. So I asked Bruce, I said, can you give me an opportunity to go speak to the department directors? Because I knew I needed the department directors on my team to try to make it work for the other individuals that's coming out of prison to get the job. I knew all of them by first name basis. But when I stood up in front of them, I said, look, I called a name. I said, if I told each and every one of you guys, when I started working here in 2007, I was a convicted felon, would you have believed me? And I wanted to know. They said, no. I said, well, I'm one now. And I need your help to help me get this program to work. Now, granted, 2 or 3 of them didn't come help me to assist it. But now we're in a position now with the new mayor, he's already promised to get reentry on the top along with the homeless part of it because it's needed. Because like you said, they're coming home one day, they're going to be in our neighborhood. So let's learn to adapt to what we're dealing with. And that's my top 3.
Can I throw something in the middle of it? Because I really do, I'd be interested to hear what y'all say. Because you know that, so this public awareness, like you were saying, Dwight, is a big deal. Because the last time that we saw the spike in incarceration was when a guy got out again and killed a young man. And the public got scared, and so they took a bunch of people's freedom. Whenever there's fear in the public, someone's going to lose their freedom. Either the public's going to give it up voluntarily in order to feel safe, or they're going to take it for some other people. So go look, right? You're going to take it for some folks, or you're going to give it up, or you may do both until you can feel safe. And so why I think that's important is because that safety is kind of like Wall Street. It's like when the panic goes, maybe nothing's changed. It's not reality, it's a perception. And so here's what I'd love to hear. There is a politician who's well-known and is going to run for some very high offices in the next 10 years. Just came out with a statement very recently that is a perfect political statement. I mean, it's short, it's strong, it's easy to understand, and he said this week,
Make America great again? No.
nope. He said, America is suffering from an under-incarceration problem. We need to lock more folks up.
I bet I know who that is.
So, here's what scares me about that for any kind of prison reform or prevention, is because it's easy to understand. The people, so nothing changed, right? But the person that's just sending their kids to school and they're over here, and they're going, damn right, because they've watched some crime going on, right? They watched the lawlessness that was going on. Post George Floyd, there were protests and then riots. And they looked at the riot and they're like, that ain't good, right? You can't buy it. When's the last time? Well, y'all don't know, right? I shoot a lot. I have not shot since the pandemic hit. You know why? I can't buy ammo, and it's pissing me off, y'all. It is, I mean, seriously pissing me off. I can't buy ammo, and it's gone up multiple times. So people are scared, and they're hoarding guns and they're hoarding ammo, and there's no real reason, right? It's a perception thing. And then they drop this bombshell, right? And it's easy to understand, but what we saw in the state, as soon as we got scared, because Daryl Dennis got out like that 18-year-old, right? We saw the prison population go like this, and if you look at the budget, right, we're at about $500 million a year on post-adjudicated watching people, either in prison or coming out, in the state of Arkansas. That ain't the Fed, that's just the state. And that grew after that event happened. So that's exactly what'll happen if we need to start incarcerating more folks. Right, so anyway, I'm interested to
Give me
hear.
$20 million, I can stop half the crime in Little Rock right now.
Right now.
Right now.
Instant change.
Give me $20
The
million.
numbers drop
I
like
can
this.
The murder rate will be cut in
Give us the
half.
bag,
I
man.
swear to
Give us
God.
the bag.
Easily, it's that easy.
How much?
So that's how you know that this is I mean, it works for them. That's how they get their money. You can't be mad at them people. But at the same time, you also have to give us a chance to rebuttal that action. You know what I'm saying? It's not an equal playing ground. It's not an equal field, man. I swear to God, you give us $20 million, we'll stop half the crime in Little Rock in 1 year.
Guaranteed.
So if y'all spending billions, just put that 20 over here and we're gonna show you how to do it.
Well, we should expect individuals to take personal responsibility. Responsibility to change their lives and not make the same mistakes they've made before. We can't decide upon that, only they can. But I still say the majority want to do those things, but they don't have any resources. And that's just a huge topic, is resources. How do you, but you begin with resources around this couch, I think. I think that's where you start.
Lock 'em up, Joe coming.
But
Hey, man, we'll get ready, lock 'em up, Joe, back it up. It's gonna be a whole bunch of recipients.
Yeah.
Lock 'em up, Joe.
I can say one thing, I do know for a fact, with this new gun law that the
Stand
President
your
Biden
ground,
getting
yeah.
ready to pull up, about all these assault rifles, they're going to federal penitentiary. I don't care how old you is.
Yeah.
With these with these assault rifles, and majority of them gonna be this here color.
Yeah.
They're going to federal penitentiary with those assault rifles. And
because we
he talking
already-
about now.
We already got
Executive, wait, one more, it says President Biden announced executive action on guns, including new ATDF laws. So, I hear what we all are saying, but that underlying issue, if we don't change our own people within,
Yeah.
we're gonna lose them.
Yeah.
And they need to help us get out, like.
See, we
some
changing
of
our
these
people.
records, too.
Yeah,
Like
we
a lot of
change.
people, when
We
they
do.
get out of prison, their records been.
With
they
them
need
assault
to get
rifles?
responses. We can't even own guns at this point.
Nope.
You know what I'm saying? So
But they're getting them though.
You know, and
Yeah,
we
they're
gotta get them.
They dropping them off the trucks in Chicago, off the trains in Chicago. They
That's
bring them.
actually God helping.
We know one thing for
Sure,
sure. We don't fly airplanes, we don't drive, we don't
need to be
swim.
armed, for real.
You get what I'm
They got
saying?
no weapons. You know what I'm saying?
And right now, I
You
wouldn't
gotta
feel
get
side.
You gotta be weaponed up.
I
You gotta change the
side
laws.
back for
You don't have no weapon to
Y'all know
protect
what
your
that man
family.
did to us before Joe
I understand
Biden
what
locked
you're
us up in
saying.
man's grave the first time.
MMA,
So
baby.
what make you think it's gonna
MMA.
be different this
It's
time?
crazy, man.
So
It's
a lot
kinda
of people
crazy.
voted them in office, they supposed to
So
go.
somebody dealing with all these issues,
Wow.
the best way to deal with these issues is with drugs.
Escape.
That's
Escape.
cope. Wrong
Escape.
word.
Escape.
That copes with all these issues is with drugs, whether it's smoking weed, whether it's popping a pill, or the more extreme drugs. So until that gets addressed, you can give this person all these resources and they just be chasing their tail.
So isn't that a mental health issue?
It's a whole bunch of issues.
That's what I said. Mental health is should be
Mental
number
health
one.
issue number
Because
one.
if you don't, if you your mental health is strong, you won't cope on the drugs. You
That's
won't
right.
need the drugs.
That's
Yeah, yeah.
exactly
So
right.
you
But
go
if
you
look
go
at-
another different
at
route.
court dockets,
It's more positive.
paraphernalia charge, this charge, drug charge after drug charge after drug charge. All them charges are drug charges or drug-related charges.
Yep.
There's not too many people going to court for murder charges.
Oh shoot!
There's not too many.
I was in a pod with 250 people, and every last one of them was in there for
But
murder.
Russell, you know,
Every last
you
one of them.
I say you're right, but you know, as my position as a reentry coordinator, and I'm determined to find somebody a job. And my first thing is, man, if I can offer you a job today, couldn't you pass your drug test? They can't. They can't.
I know.
But it's either smoke
And a lot
marijuana
of-
or do willing.
And a lot of them that gets out of prison
But listen,
already got in the system.
yeah, and then look, they pass the drug test, but they get a paycheck, and what they do with their
Go buy
paycheck?
drugs.
Yeah.
So you gotta address the drug
You're right.
problem.
Yeah.
Some
That's
way,
the-
form,
that's
or
the
fashion.
heavy
It's gotta
drug
be
problem,
addressed.
right?
It gotta be addressed.
That's the
for them
heavy
to-
drug
to
problem,
move
right?
on.
Not we. I'm
We
saying
talking about
like,
weed and everything.
Well, we-
like
Well,
some people.
well, we get you-
marijuana,
Can you get a
yeah,
job
it's
smoking
sending them
weed?
back. No, that's the
So they
problem.
gotta be
That's why a
addressed.
lot of our people don't have jobs today.
So it gotta be
Because
addressed.
they too strict on the marijuana thing with the people. They too strict on that with the people. These people smoke marijuana to keep them taking Ritalin. To keep them taking
Yeah.
all those other drugs
true,
that
though.
make you throw
Yeah.
up.
Yep.
They give me Ritalin, bro. It used to make me throw up. Like, it make me feel like dread. I was walking slow. Then my homies were like, this ain't you. This ain't how you supposed to be. So I had to shake that drug before I could understand shake any other kind of, any other kind of drug. So the marijuana, you know what I'm saying? The marijuana.
what?
I don't see marijuana.
Marijuana is
It
not
ain't
a
no
drug.
It's
drug.
not what we see it as.
Arkansas see it
Right.
as a drug.
It's
not.
as an
Arkansas wrong,
employer
too.
and you
You could be
needing
wrong.
a
Everybody could be
job.
wrong
It's what they
sometimes.
see it as.
Marijuana
You
They
see what
too
I'm saying?
hard on marijuana smokers though. They treat marijuana smokers the same as they treat a meth smoker.
Well-
That's two different type of people.
Yeah.
But that
It's
goes
two
back to
different type of
the
people.
adaptability of the system, though, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Like you
Yeah.
gotta know that's
The
how they're gonna
difference.
treat it.
Yep.
So it's advocate for changing it, but also know right
When
now.
I worked
you're
for the
gonna deal
recovery
with-
coach for Paul, I had a guy come in there and ask me, he said, Turtle, I don't want to go to that rehab. I said, why? He said, man, they treat me like I'm a meth head. They treat me like this nasty, and I ain't going in there. I go back to prison before I go up in there. And the guy literally told me that. He was like, man, I'll go back before I go up in there. They need to separate the two. They don't know how to separate a marijuana person from a super drug
Right.
person. They put them all in categories, all as one, and they dragging some other body down. Bad, because he don't even want to be there in the first
The
place.
case
Well-
management,
They make
the
the problem
assessments
worse.
in this state
Yeah.
are very weak. They really don't know where to route folks.
I
The
mean,
case-
we dump everybody into one barrel. I mean, just dump them in there. And you can't do that. That doesn't solve anything. They've got to be
Overload
looked at
parole
individually.
officers with 150 cases.
Yeah. I mean,
With
how
one
do you
parole
do that?
officer.
How are you supposed to do that?
That's why we here. You hire us to do that because we know how to funnel them through.
Okay.
You fund us and we do and take care of the business. And like we just
been a
said,
pleasure, John.
half of the rate gonna go like this. So like that, you pay.
Thank you, Devon.
You gotta pay to get things done. You pay for everything else. So you gotta pay for everything to
this
get done.
again.
You're trying to fix this.
2 o'clock, I got to get it set up for.
Thank y'all so much for taking the time
Yes.
out. If y'all leave your sheets there with your rankings, we'll pass those along.
What time? What time today?
Today,
We'll pass along the rankings, and just because it's ranked number one and something else is ranked 3 or doesn't get ranked, doesn't mean we're not going to talk about it. It doesn't mean we're not going to present it to other folks. 'Cause, I mean, our view is because it's oh yeah,
Thank you, sir.
thank
So
y'all.
you work with Corey Anderson?
I'm with the Institute and he's with the foundation, but yeah, I've met Corey before, and we're hoping to plug them into a lot of the work that we're doing with this.
sir.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate you, man.
Yeah. Well, thank you all. And like I said, you know, we got nothing if we don't get feedback and knowledge from y'all. So.
I wanted to show you something.
Yeah.
This is me at 17 years old,
Wow.
right here in federal prison.
Yeah.
All
Wow.
other trips to prison. And yeah, like I was saying, I was the first person ever to start a drug program for the